Coaches, welcome to the recap of the Hoops Forum, a weekly Twitter-based live show for basketball coaches dedicated to education and conversation. Each week we'll share highlights of the conversation on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. In episode 1, we talk about the challenges of coaching in the era of COVID. Here are the episode 1 highlights from the hosts, Randy Sherman of Radius Athletics and Tony Miller of A Quick Timeout Podcast. To prepare for the show, Tony sent out a Twitter poll asking coaches if their teams were playing this season. Yes, no, to be determined were the options, and we focused the conversation on those poll results. Programs in each of these categories are facing unprecedented challenges this season. Part of my job with Radius Athletics is counseling coaches. I spend time advising them one-on-one. Tony started the conversation by asking me what advice I find myself repeating most during this COVID-impacted season. Here's my response.
I'd say there's two things I've been repeating the most, and that's a great question. The first is this is only temporary. This is this in terms of, you're going to coach 20, 30 years, have a full career until retirement. Hopefully 1 to 2 seasons are going to, feel interrupted. And in the grand scheme of things for your coaching career, this is temporary. I do understand that, like, many of you coach players who this is their one opportunity to get to play basketball, whether that be high school, college. That these moments can't be recaptured. They're lost for those players, and you maybe feel empathy toward them. But to my audience of coaches, is what I'm saying most is this is only temporary. I'd say the second thing I've been saying the most is some roundabout way of saying like you're going to have to accept the facts on the ground as a coach. You can't get lost in poor me, or our my best player got quarantined, or we had a game and it got canceled. You have to kind of take a what's next mentality, coach the kids that are in front of you, and prepare for the next practice game without sort of getting too lost in all of the distractions and the upheaval and the lack of routine that's going to be inherent in this season. So
Here, Tony presents a bright side, if there is one, of COVID-era basketball coaching, and that is that many of the normal distractions have been stripped away.
Kind of a random thought, but I'm even thinking about like what happened down at the NBA in the bubble.
mm-hmm.
Comments that were made of like you're seeing basketball almost in its purest form because there's not those outside factors of travel and fans and whatnot. I would think that you talk a lot about reviewing your program and getting an honest opinion of where you're at. I think maybe this year could be an honest opinion of like how good are you at basketball.
Yeah.
There are no outside factors for a lot of us. There may be a few parents in the stands, but outside of that, you're going to get to see team versus team basketball only, nothing else affecting it, how good or how not so good your basketball team is, right?
COVID is doing nobody any favors, but if this COVID-impacted season favors any type of team or program, who is it? My response.
I say if this situation favors anyone, which I'm not saying it does, but if it did, it certainly favors the program that kind of already has an established identity. They have a way of doing things. They've got a program that's aligned, whether that be 7 through 12 in the interscholastic high school type level, or a program, say like the likes of Villanova, who kind of just rolls out the same thing every year with different players.
Mm-hmm.
If it favors anyone, it favors those guys, because I do think there's going to be a lot of like, hey, we just got to go play. Like the state said we could play. We got 10 days and our first game's in 2 weeks, and like, let's go. And so if I'm putting in a new playbook every year, coach, like this probably not great for you. But if you have established some parameters and some in your culture around your program, and your way of playing is already established, I would think you kind of have to look back and go, man, I'm glad I did that work.
Coaches were giving lots of time during the heights of COVID quarantine. Here, Tony talks about how he focused the time.
I've heard a couple coaches say that one of the things that it's allowed them to do has been to actually focus in on what they actually now want to be doing. So even though they've consumed all this information, it's allowed them to really now determine what actually is the junk, and
Yeah.
then to maybe go more deep onto the things that they care about. And this is the thing that this might be one of the most valuable things, or the only valuable thing I say during this entire time. I said this to a group of players this week. I think that a lot of coaches stopped going to coaching clinics because they think that they can just get whatever online.
Hmm.
Um, and the fact of the matter is, I would almost encourage you to continue to watch clinics, but filter even what you sign up for and what you want to go to.
Yeah.
Even if it's something that you think that you know everything about, as you sit there and listen. I've sat plenty of clinics where I've sat there and listened and thought, man, I already know to an extent kind of everything that this coach is saying, but where I get the value is a phrase that he uses to teach something and to
Yeah.
teach better than I have, or
Yeah.
a little nugget of how to teach something slightly different.
A
But if I
drill
yes,
that I should be
one
using. Yeah.
for sure. And if I'd have never gone to that clinic because I thought I know all about this, this is the American lifestyle. Like,
Sure.
just give me more. I already got that. But give me something new and give me something
Yeah.
different. Whereas if you get rid of the other stuff, like you said, and maybe go deeper into things and focus more on things.
Those are the highlights of episode 1 of the Hoops Forum. Make sure to subscribe to this channel as well as follow us on Twitter to get the recap for future episodes. Also, check out the links in the description below to see the full episode and more resources.